What's up, man?
What's up, everyone? How you doing?
What's up, Eli?
How you doing, bro?
Try to get it out first because usually try to open your mouth first.
Yeah.
That's not happening.
I know. It's about the only time I get to, so I gotta sneak it in the beginning.
Dude? Good week.
All right, great week, man.
Hey, we're back for a second week in a row. That's cool.
Yep.
You know, not to like not do the podcast. Everyone knows, like, you know, we've gotten this thing to a good level and we get a good amount of views, and
Yep.
and we appreciate everyone that like can get a value add from this. But hey, our business is real estate, and you know the couple hundred agents that we have with us, and just focusing on that. So if anything has to give when we get busy, it's this, right? But
100%. Yep.
but we can commit a little bit more and just have more time to just try to get a little bit more intentional of just like, hey, I think like if you get busy, right? Side thought before the topic of discussion today, but it's hard when you legitimately get busy and then you're like, man, we're just too slammed. We can't do it. It's probably true. And then maybe that happens again, but then does that kind of lead you down a path of you just make it convenient that you're now just not doing the podcast as often?
Yeah. And you just start booking things for that same time slot.
Because now that you're used to not doing it, it's like not such a big deal to not do it, right? It's like it's just a slippery slope. There's just some erosion there, so it's good to get back second week in a row and just really try to crank out one per week, right? So super fun. But
yes, sir.
Today, man, and yes, if you're watching this on video or if you're not here, fucking hear that? It's my fucking notebook. If I got notes, dude, it's a fucking pet peeve. Let me just let you in on Will's world, Will's brain. Whether it's, you know, like I'm not a big fan of people that don't take notes. When it comes to like really wanting to be present and dial into something. Now, whether that's you writing them, whether that's you know, opening up a note app in your phone and typing it, and even for the people, you know, that are like, oh man, I'm just not as present. I can't pay attention as much if I'm trying to write something down. First and foremost, I just don't think that's true. Secondly, pull your phone out and record it. Like if you're in a private meeting or something like that, you know, like, and it's okay. Just like, hey man, do you mind? I want to be able to go back and review this so then I can take notes, but I want to hear you. And what I'm getting at is just finding a way to retain versus like putting yourself in a box of like, well, I'm not a note taker. So then you just don't try anything. Cause if someone's giving me their time, I really want to like use it, maximize it, and just make sure that person knows that like I'm present while you're giving me your time and I'm worth it. And this year, like, it just seemed like I had a lot of meetings, a lot of group meetings, a lot of one-on-ones, and I felt like, and it's extreme ownership, right? Thanks, Jocko. So at some point, somewhere, I've got to fix me, right? Maybe it's the type of meetings I'm having with a certain audience. I don't know, but like what I'm getting at is group settings, large events, medium events, small group training, one-on-one meetings. This year felt like the year of me noticing motherfuckers not taking notes and just really trying to organize themselves and take advantage of everything possible while they're in that meeting or event.
Yeah. And I think part of it too is like just setting the example. Like you are. Like I think, man, a lot of people maybe just haven't been in a meeting where it's like, man, it's worth on a one-on-one meeting actually sitting down and taking notes. Maybe they haven't been in an audience like that. Or maybe the person in your
room is just not worth it. Like maybe the people I'm sitting down one-on-one with, I shouldn't be one-on-one with. I don't know. Yeah, no, I do feel like I've increased in business and I've grown, I've changed, I've grown my perspective on different stuff. So I do try to help people along of like, hey man, can I get you, I've got like little mini notebooks. Hey, can I get you a notebook? Would you like to take some notes on this? And even if I do that, I get no man, I'm just not a note taker. Well, you are today, motherfucker. Yeah. Because if I feel like you're not going to retain or apply, and like, dude, I'll even see people not apply what I've said to them, and they won't remember half of what I said in a meeting. Of course. And then I come back and tell people like, and they'll have a question. It's like, hey man, you're not even doing half of what I spoke to you about last time. Yep. What could your question possibly be? You know, and as you and I have grown, whether it was in, you know, the military world, the police world, the business world, I know way more successful people on the successful side of the fence that also happen to be note takers.
Imagine that.
I don't know very many people that are nah, dude, I don't take notes. Yeah. And they're like more successful.
Yeah, imagine
I just don't. And what I'm getting at is, hey, maybe you don't want to write. Hey, cool, type it into your phone or turn it on. Find a way to retain whatever meeting or event or whatever you're doing.
Right.
I'm very similar with books too. I'm not a cover to cover guy. I'll read a book for half a chapter, 2 chapters, 3 chapters. But when a couple of like chained ideas or chained together perspectives in a book kind of like ring a bell to me or hit, I tend to pause there. And then I try to find a way to go implement that in my life. And then I'll go back to the book when I feel like I'm ready for more versus like cover to cover. I feel like it's the same thing. It's like, unless it's a fantasy or a nonfiction, right? Sure, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I feel I'm on a fucking tangent. Yeah. But hey, if you're out there, like, please understand if you're seeking time from people or you want to learn from them or whatever it may be, they don't owe you a fucking thing. So if people are giving you their time because they want to help you in business, like, and let's just use real estate for an example. Realtors come into, onto our team, into our network, and, and like, hey, if we're doing that and we're trying to help coach and build you, right? Like, hey, great. But we don't owe you anything. Like, we're doing that because that's what we believe in, and we're choosing to give that time to you. But don't think that time couldn't go to someone else who is more productive and intentional and respectful than you. It doesn't have to go to you. And the way like money is spread around real estate, like I don't need you to go make money so I can feed my family. You don't have the leverage. We already have enough of our own volume. We have a large team with people that do care, that are respectful. I don't need that. Politely, not trying to talk shit. But hey, that's not where I'm spending my time.
That's why it's good to set the example the way you do, because
you see me in meetings.
It just sets the example.
Dude, I'm taking notes on people, bro. Yeah. You and I will sit down with new agents or with our current agents, and I have a fucking notebook out. We'll be on a Zoom call with our top tier agents, and I remember this here. Remember, I got on politely. That was nice, right? I got on some folks on a Zoom call. Remember, our first new influencer, and then I just hung up.
And I'm sitting there like, hey guys.
But it's like, guys, hey, if I'm sitting here and I'm present and I'm taking notes on you, why are you out driving your car? Yeah. Why are you getting into this Zoom call while you're driving? Yeah. Why are you out 75 hard in it walking around? Like, and it's not that your walk and your workout aren't important. It's not that wherever you're driving isn't important. It's that if we're giving you guys this private access to really coach you on everything that we're doing because we feel you're ready for more, you're not going to retain it while you're driving in traffic. You're not going to be able to take notes. And it's like, hey, I'm busier than our agents. So if I'm not in traffic, if I'm not going for a walk, if I'm in the office with a notebook and the laptop open on the Zoom, then that means clearly I've taken that time specifically to set that time aside. To do that. Yep. So wherever you're driving, you shouldn't fucking be driving. Yep. That should have waited. Whatever workout you're trying to get in, you should have got your ass up earlier and got it fucking done, and you should have been sitting down ready to go, because I am.
Or don't be in the fucking meeting. Yeah. Or don't be taking someone's time. Yeah. If those other things are going to be,
and it's like perspective shifts. Like, people are just, something I was talking about this year, I'm going to write it down too. We'll talk about it later, but just being too casual. That was something that Ed Milet talks about. He's like, dude, people like me in business are going to eat you alive.
100%. Yeah.
And he's like, there's flash in the pans all the time. Guys make a little bit of money for a year or two. He's like, do it for 30. You're just a flash in the pan. Like, you think you're fucking cute. Guys like me are going to fucking eat you alive, is what Ed Milet says. And he's like, I'm saying this from a place of care. I fucking love you, brother. But like, and he was talking to some people in the audience. Yeah. And it was about notes too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, hey man, if Ed Milet's telling you it's probably a good idea, you got a better idea? And if you're just, I'm just not a note taker, I don't think you're growing, man. I don't think you're even trying to expand your capability.
No, let them get eaten.
True, but then it's like, hey, man, like, while you're on my clock, I try to at least give some 2 cents before.
That's why it's good you set the example. And a lot of people, I think, given the benefit of the doubt, they haven't been around real successful people to observe and see how they do things, And
dude, be a cop and don't take notes on a call. You fucking kidding me? You're going to remember everything? No, man. Like,
most people don't have that experience, and they're just used to.
But even in the military, dude, like, hey, you're getting ready to be prepared for an op order. Sit down and take notes. Like,
I could imagine, yeah.
Did you take notes in high school?
Probably not.
Did your mom have you take notes?
They probably didn't.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, you're gonna fucking do it now, or you're just not gonna.
Yeah, you're not gonna grow.
I'm getting on a tangent, but what I'm getting at is like, that was a topic of discussion this year. Was too casual. Yeah. And it's interesting that it was, because this is also a year in real estate where, like, hey, there was a pivot. Interest rates jumped. People slowed down on purchasing for a little while. Like, now they're starting to come back out, but like, people are hurting. Lenders are hurting. Realtors are hurting. They don't. And it's like, hey,
Big time.
You're hurting and you're doing less deals. You went from 14 deals to 4. You went from, 7 to none, whatever, right? So but you're also like, I also like see you on all these bullshit vacations. So now you're spending your savings because you're not making any money currently. So whatever's in your checking or savings account, you're spending that, you're distracting yourself. And I'm not saying no vacations, don't get me wrong. But then I'll see you at the fucking Christmas tree lighting in fucking Highlands Ranch. And then I'm seeing you on vacation and, hey, you want some help? And then cool. And then you forget to call. We have a scheduled call. You don't call. And it's like, are we having a conversation about your feelings or are we having a conversation about your actions?
Yep.
And like, now they're really starting to hurt. And it's like, hey man, you're too casual with your approach. And if this pain right now is what sparks you to get more professional and take yourself more seriously, cool. But in the next 24, 48 months, when it starts getting back to like lucrative for you per se, you just can't forget those pillars. You can't forget those fundamentals on, being a professional, right? And with that being said, coming into like being a professional, part of being a professional is 20 minutes into this, our topic for today. Distractions in business and in life, right? So Eli, the notes I got for you, buddy, I want to get your thoughts. And just full disclosure, Eli and I do not really discuss podcasts prior to the podcast because I don't want to tell him too many of my thoughts that then interferes with his own thoughts. And we kind of like discussing things on the podcast because in addition to the topic of discussion, it's nice when you can hear how we formulate our thought process and where things go. So that's kind of fun versus
and just have a conversation.
Having a conversation about it. Yeah. But that's formulating your thoughts, and sometimes thoughts evolve. Sometimes on the beginning of a podcast, I might have one perspective, but then toward the end, it's like, you know what, man? I kind of changed my mind on that. Here's where it is. But if I didn't have the podcast until I changed my mind, because you and I spoke for an hour before the podcast, I don't get to show that it's okay to change your mind. I don't get to show any evolution of thought. So that's why it's cool to kind of have a discussion. But what I've got with distractions in business and in life, energy sucks, shiny people and shiny objects, separating yourself from the pack, do the work, yes, but what work? Priorities, pivots, conversion focus, right? So like when I talk about energy sucks, I'm really talking about people.
Okay.
Right? Like I'm sure you're more analytical than me. You're going to go to like energy sucks of like, for example, with real estate. We have a large YouTube channel. We crush on that thing, makes a couple $1 million a year, does great for us. We got we've got a good person, we got a good brand, good social platform, good footprint on YouTube. And we're coaching a lot of agents around the country, right, on this stuff. So if you're interested in that, you happen to be a realtor, yes, hit us up. But what I'm getting at is like, I tend to see things idealistically, or people, you're very analytical. So when we talk energy sucks, one of them would be like, our agents not understanding, like, hey, you're not a fucking editor. Like, stop. Like, we have resources. Yes, they cost a little bit of money. Not even a ton of money. Like, we've got editors that will, like, edit your YouTube channel and get it posted and optimized for $600 a month. And that's 8 videos a month. Like, it's a fuck ton for next to nothing on money. Like, we've got great resources, but realtors kind of get afraid of the work or whatever it may be. And then they'll do something like, oh, I'm so tired. Like, I'm just brain dead, because I've been editing all day. That could be an energy suck.
Yep, 100%.
For me, it's people.
Yep.
I know exactly what I should be, typically. I know exactly what I should be doing and not doing when it comes to tasks in business, right? But where I struggle, because I think I'm just more of like an emotional dude, I'm more of an interactor. I get energy from people, and I try to influence and lead, and like my role with our company is based on that. An energy suck for me is not figuring out that I'm not the editor. That's not even a conversation in my brain.
100%.
Right? Even if I was broke, I would find a way to have a fucking editor. I know that's I need my fucking time. But where like I mess up is people, and it's like dissecting just negative energy, people that are in it for the wrong reasons, people that talk a really good game. And one of the most deceiving character traits that I dealt with this year, not to make this a year in reflection, but I'm just kind of, I think, organically reflecting because we're coming up on New Year's. The one that I really had to get better at that I couldn't quite peg is the intermediate level procrastinator, which is the one that's like super okay to call themselves out, super okay to point out where their flaws are, super okay to know exactly where they're not doing the work, super okay with you also telling them the same thing. So the conversation feels very productive. So productive to the point you're not necessarily watching that person like a hawk. And then before you know it, you find yourself having that same conversation with that person 3 or 4 times before you catch it, right? And it's like, fuck. Versus like your beginner level procrastinator. They don't have the self-awareness. They get a little bit guarded when you're trying to like expose some things in a productive way. You can get that. And it's like, cool. Give that some space. But then, but the ones that are like, yeah, man, no, I know, dude. And hey, thanks for pointing that out. And like, man, no, I agree. I got that in me. I got to be better. And it's like,
just don't change.
But nothing. But like, the conversations go, really well. It's that. And then, man, something tipped me a little bit because there's also like a lot of like people exploring mushrooms, ayahuasca. And like, dude, I hate to say this, right? It's also just another form of procrastination.
A distraction. Yeah, absolutely.
In the sense of, and I won't say the people that I was watching online because I have an opinion, but I don't necessarily know them personally. So I got to leave that alone. But then I also know people personally who have done those experiences, and I see the same thing in them. People go on an ayahuasca journey, okay? And then for the next 24 months, they're not doing anything but talking about their ayahuasca journey to everybody. And it's like, hey, so that's not the work though.
Right.
Now you're just talking about this experience you had, which is just another form of quote unquote productive procrastination, because we're not actually going and doing whatever you saw, whatever epiphany you had. You're just out sharing your story. Now, if you want to build a business around storytelling and ayahuasca and hire a fucking ayahuasca monk to do the shit, different story. If you want to write a book about your ayahuasca journey, different, but it's not. You're on podcasts, you're in private meetings, it's with your friends, and you're just talking about it, and then you're just continuing whatever perception you think you had from it of where the lessons lies. And I'm still digesting. Man, I was thinking the other day, here's another lesson, because when I was thinking this, I didn't quite catch it today, but then like now that I've been thinking about it, I think this was also a lesson. And it's like, dude, it's just another thing that can keep you from doing the fucking work.
Oh, it can. Yeah.
Right? So like that human, I'm like running away from this year. 22. It's like I'm identifying it more, not running away, but like,
well, it takes time. Like changes like that.
You got to pay attention more, right? Like, like they're just a higher functioning dysfunctional motherfucker. Okay. And what I mean is, I can't peg you right away because the conversations I'm having with you when we're talking about your business and your business plan and how we can make it better, and then where I can help you, and we're putting it together on the surface, the conversation I'm having with you is no different than the conversation I have with the actual productive person. I just don't know the difference until you let them do the work. But that productive conversation on the surface can be so distracting that it's that person's kind of like out of sight, out of mind for a minute because it was such a good conversation. You're not necessarily concerned with them. And then you end up, they have more questions, you answer them. They have more questions, you answer them. Then before you know it, you go, hey, wait a minute. You've been asking me questions for 6 months. Have you done any of them? And it fucking gets you. So like this year, it's like, hey, not in a negative way, but like regardless of how productive our bond or conversations can be, less emotional, more observant, right?
Well, and it can serve that person better to not have those conversations with you for a whole fucking year. As they continue.
I think that procrastinator is just a fucking procrastinator.
And change takes time. Like I don't think people are always the same forever and ever and ever. A lot of people are, but I think them not having access to you to answer all their stupid fucking questions that you've already given them answers to for a year could probably help because as you always say,
that can help with the note taking too. Like, hey, if you just have access so much where like you can just come in the office whenever you need, it's like, well, yeah, why would you take fucking notes? You can just call me tomorrow, I guess, right? Like
the whole
creating space.
Like you say, man, people don't change, so it's too painful not to. They're telling you they haven't felt enough fucking pain to actually change. That's what they're actually saying.
And where I'm happy with where we're at in business is we have enough people that have applied our principles, our tactics, and run the plays and had success. We have enough proof of concept from a large group of people. And some of these people are in different areas of the country. Florida, Tennessee, upstate New York, like Colorado, where we're at. But we have enough proof of concept now. Because when early on, right, like when people are procrastinating, you're struggling with like, are you not doing the work, or is like the work really not working for you? And then maybe I got to give you something else to do because like what I thought would work for you because it worked for me isn't working for you. You kind of doubt a bit. But because you and I have always been practitioners and it was always working for us, we weren't just giving hypotheticals out there. We were giving contextual advice. As we started meeting other hitters and they started applying our teachings and having success. And once you have that, agent after agent after agent after fucking agent, now you got the confidence to know, man. And we teach things on a fundamental level. It's not just, well, if you're not going to do YouTube, then we're not good leaders for you. No, there's a shit ton that we teach that we're great at. So whether you want to be private and off the radar and not on social media at all, or being the biggest person on social media, from our level and below, we can teach it. But what I'm getting at is it's fundamentally sound. It's not just a niche that we teach. If someone's not creating success, I'll still pause to make sure to just be humble and not be arrogant. But there's always something they're not fucking doing. They're cutting a corner. They're not doing the work. And it's like, but it's nice to be in a place in business, man, where you and I have been around for 5 years now. We've had extraordinary success with ourselves. And now with a ton of agents, there's a body of work.
Yep.
Right. So like that person in their little world can make as many excuses as they want. Right. Like, for example, if you're going to talk to, Iowa wrestling. Okay. If they're like the school to go to in college, if you want to be an All-American wrestler, you go to Iowa.
Okay.
And then that head coach, he's seen every high school wrestler from a bird's eye view. And he knows the work it takes, the commitment it takes, the talent it takes to end up at his school and to be an All-American because he sees it. You might think you're working hard because you only know your work for your capacity.
Right.
But him seeing it from a bird's eye view, he's like, hey, you can think that, but what I'm telling you is I'm looking at the entire country and I'm telling you the work and commitment and effort and dedication that they have, and you're just not there. Like your recipe right now of what you think is hard work is not, like, you got to increase your capacity for work, or hey, you're talented, so you're skating the work. That guy can go, hey man, from a bird's eye view, I know 18 other dudes just as talented as you, and they're neurotic as fuck with the work ethic, and you're going to get to a school because you're talented, and then you're going to come across a guy from my school, and he's going to choke you the fuck out.
Yep.
But he can see it. And like for you and I, like when we're looking at agents now, we see it from a bird's eye view, and it's like, hey, you can tell me you're doing the work all you want, right? Two things are happening. One of two things. You either genuinely think you're working hard, and that's just a capacity, that's your threshold. You got to learn how to time block and get up early and work late, and you got to build your threshold to have more within you, right? Be more capable, increase your capacity. Or you talk a decent game, and you can talk like you're doing the work, knowing you're not, and we know better, we see better because we're seeing it from a bird's eye view with so many other agents and what they're doing. And that brings me to like one of my other topics, right? Of like, do the work, yes, but what work? I was talking to one of our agents the other day about putting in the work, and he's like, no, dude, I'm working. I said, I didn't ask you if you were working. I said, putting in the work, your body of work. I said, dude, what I do in 4 hours, what I can do with 4 hours, significantly different than you. What I can do in 8 hours, significantly, because of what I'm choosing to prioritize, what I'm choosing to do, the resources I'm choosing to delegate things to, and the action where I'm choosing to give action. This is not a game of you clocked in at 7 a.m. and then you're doing something until 7 p.m. and then you're like, hey, I'm working 12 hours a day.
Yep.
It's what you're deciding to do with that time that matters more than just the time that you're doing it, right? Like, I think that's a big topic. I don't know if you have any comments on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's the concentration of time versus just the duration of time, right? Like, I think that's a massive part of it. Have you found that that's something that you've learned to be better at, or that's just always something that you've been great at? Because part of it, I think, like, the reason I don't get like super frustrated with agents or anything is A, I don't have high expectations. B, like, I just expect 80% of them to just be that fucking average person you're talking about.
You need a podcast called The Arrogant Jew.
And then, no, it's not arrogant. It's just,
I'm being funny.
It's just like, man, I just don't expect that many people to be like fucking great. So, but was that something learned, or is that more intuitive to you?
I don't know. Well, here's the deal. As cocky as I can probably seem sometime, or confident or whatever, like, for sure. But being a part of like teams, from a young age, being a part of like the military and being a part of like just great cohesive units within the military. And it's a great example, right? Like, in baseball or football, or like for the military example, right? Like, you need a chip on your shoulder and you need the confidence that you're capable of doing your fucking job. Okay. Cause some of that stuff that you're preparing for in the military or as a police officer, if you don't have a "I got it" mentality, man, like, I don't know if you've got enough in you to withstand dangerous shit. You got to have this, like, I fucking got it.
I can see that.
But it's the I fucking got it in the lane of whatever my role and my job is on this mission, in figuring it the fuck out and taking care of my tasks while also helping my team with whatever pops up. But it's not from the chip on my shoulder of, I don't need my team, I got this. I'll take the house. Hey, boys, no need. Officer Grimes here. I'm going to go clear the house. I got this. No. It's, I got my role.
Yeah, you're doing your part.
And then I've got whatever I need to do to help my fellow officers. Yep. But there's still this confidence that comes from, like, the team being around you. So, like, in business, man, like, where we delegate, where we put people in positions, how we're utilizing that, the relationships. I think I do really well with relationships and putting people around us. Our performance coach, people we have to help with events. I'm confident in what I'm doing, but then I'm also confident in, hey, a lot of my time needs to be focused in putting the right people in the right positions around us, because we need a team to accomplish what we're trying to create, the vision of that.
Right.
And I've just been around that for so long, but people misinterpret, man. Everything is like so fucking one or the other with people nowadays, right? Like, I won't say the name, but a couple of years ago, somebody was like, oh yeah, like something about Hillary Clinton. I was like, well, yeah, but like, yo, this Benghazi shit sketch, bro. And I come from that background. I don't care for it. And then that person was like, yeah, but Trump this. And I said, who said I liked Trump?
Right.
But it's just innate in people nowadays that, like, it's either one or the other, right? Like, if you're not Christian, you must be Catholic.
Yep.
Or some shit. I don't fucking know. And it's the same thing with this. It's like, you're confident and cocky and you fucking got it. And then you're that guy and you have all the fucking answers on social media or in business, and you're that fucking guy. But then the opposite of that is like, or the other option is like humble and whatever, however else you want to frame it. And the reality is, it's both, man. Like Tom Brady, like, he's got to have that humble teamwork side and realize that people have to block and different stuff, right? Cool. But once that ball is snapped, and just prior to when he's looking and calling check downs and that ball is snapped, you got to be confident in owning your role and getting that football to the right place. Does that make sense?
So, like, 1,000%, yeah.
The chip on your shoulder and the confidence is so fucking needed.
Yep.
While also having the complementary side of understanding it's just within my lane. Makes sense? So, like, I don't fucking micromanage you in our business, nor do you micromanage me. I'm confident as fuck in what I'm doing. But then there's days where, like, you call me, like, hey, bro, you got a minute? I go, yeah, what's up? And you're like, hey, cool. So here's what I'm thinking. Here's where we're at with this. Here's what I'm thinking. And I go, hey, bro, what do you think?
Yep.
I literally submit to you, and then I call you the alpha. I'm like, hey, bro, you're the alpha. And you're like, no, fucking no. I'm like, no, well, you are, because I want you to do all the work. I don't want to have to fucking work.
That's why I keep denying it.
So it's fucking loaded. But the point is, like, I say those things, but it's like, hey, look, man, appreciate you asking me, so I'm aware. And if I have an opinion, I'll give it. But there's some times where I'm like, man, I kind of see both options. I don't necessarily like favor one or the other. And if I'm thinking of favoring this one, is it because I'm guessing, or do I have like any real history or knowledge that says that might work? And if I don't, then I'm just like default, Eli, what do you think?
Let's try one of them.
And but I'm letting you have chips on shoulder and confidence and ownership of your lane. I have mine of mine, but then the totality is, we allow those lanes to exist without stepping on each other's dick.
100%.
Right. Yeah. And it just, that needs to be talked about more as far, because it's not like you're either cocky and confident or you're this. And it's like, no, man, like Bruce Lee would say, right? Be like water.
Yeah.
You kind of really have to understand.
It's a perfect quote for that.
When you need to have which one, and really just be, just dynamic in your approach with what's needed in that moment. And then when it's needed, you got to roger up and fucking pull the trigger on your side. You can't always just try to fucking pass the ball all the time because you don't want to take the shot. And I might take a shot and miss in my lane.
Yep.
That's okay. But doesn't mean I'm going to continue to just admit like that. Hey, it's my, like, you gotta stay the course and still be confident in what you're doing.
That's why it's good to have you around, man. Like, I feel like, part of the reason that I'm kind of cold to people like that you're talking about from a just statistical standpoint, is also because I've I feel like I've gone through the evolution of being that fucking person. Like, you know, like you'll hear me say like, man, I'm fucking bad at shit. Like when I start shit, I'm just bad. Like, I feel like, you know, I've been on this entrepreneurial journey since I was 16, like in some way, shape or form. And I've been the just straight up procrastinator piece of shit. I've been the intermediate procrastinator who recognizes all these things about myself, but still doesn't make the corrections that I know I need to make. And then I feel like in the past 5 years, I've grown through that even to finally hit that pain point to where
and you also don't have to do it
I can evolve.
Right. But you also like, I guess I could be the same way. Like, hey, if I didn't have Eli, would I have a large YouTube channel and podcasts and different things? Like, I don't know. I'm going to say no, because then he has to like, he's obligated to like do it all. But you know, when you do put a good team around you, like it kind of lets you like, I think it does eliminate a little bit of like procrastination, because you're not having to focus on the work you don't want to do to get everything going. Like if I was just by myself and I had to do everything, some of it's not that I don't have stuff that's daunting, but it's still within my lane. Makes sense? Versus like, not only is it daunting, I don't even know how to fucking do it. And you can't hire everything out when you're new. Like you can't afford it. And you just have to have some level of supervision and ownership watching those tasks, because no one cares about your shit more than you. So if you're just hiring everything out, it's not going to go well, man. Like that foundation is gone.
And from the team perspective, bro, like I'll fuck myself over all day long before I like try and let someone else down.
Yeah. So there you go. So like it's all, I think we're saying it right, man. Like there's power in numbers, there's strength in numbers, and like you don't have to go run out tomorrow and get a business partner, but it's just the people you're putting in your corner as far as like everything, you know, like if you're going to throw an event, who's throwing an event with you, and do they care about their own product that you're trusting them with it, versus people that just don't necessarily care. Like it's not just a business partner that owns half the company with you. It's just the relationships around you. Our fucking inspectors that do inspections on homes. Hey man, we've sat down, we've had briefings, we've talked about standards and expectations and how to operate. And they take pride in their own business enough to where like, hey man, they expect more from themselves than we expect from them, which is a lot, because we expect a lot. But it's just making sure that the right people are on the field. Because I don't care how talented you are. If you don't care about what we're doing, or if you're going to get mentally weak, and because we're down or we're losing or something like that, or someone got hurt, our star quarterback got hurt, so you now as a receiver just like, oh man, we were already losing, and then now our quarterback gets hurt. This game's fucked. Like, what do you stand for, bro? Hey, maybe we are going to lose, but what are you representing on that field? Right? Like, hey, are we going to fucking die on our own sword here, or are you going to lay back missionary style and get fucked? Because if that's what it is, you can't go anywhere with that. So it's just having the right people in the field, right? And some other stuff that I wrote down today too was like the shiny people and objects, right? So like right now in real estate, might be in other markets as well, when markets pivot or are just, hey, they weren't as busy as they were, and people aren't doing as many deals, all the fucking quote unquote wolves come out. Everyone's got something to sell you. Everyone's got something to recruit you with. Shiny, 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 shiny. And it's like, man, you really got to like navigate through the weeds of all of that to just go like, hey man, who's been doing things successfully for a period of time, who actually has conversion, who's not just trying to like land grab. And dude, you see it all the time in real estate. There's events every fucking weekend. Someone's telling you to join their team. They're going to save your life. You're going to get baptized while you're there. And it's all hollow. So like when you're, you know, and it's hard to figure out which one's shiny, which one's not shiny. Cause hey, I could be shiny. How do I know? If someone doesn't necessarily know me and they're at one of our events, maybe I'm a shiny distraction. So really when it comes down to that, it's just taking your emotion and your fear out of that process and just asking the right questions. Because like if you were to come into our office and really take a deep dive in what we do, you'll see the systems, you'll see the process. We'll share our numbers with you. We'll show you exactly where conversion is coming from because we measure it, and you'll go, oh fuck, these guys are actually bigger below the surface than the fucking shiny shit I see at the event. And if you ask those same questions and take the same time and due diligence to go interview other people, you're going to go, oh, you don't even have an onboarding process? Oh, you don't have any training? I'm just supposed to call you if I need something? What?
Yeah.
No, like, and look, there's real business in real estate. And a lot of people are just running their mouth and whatever it may be. They're not a business. They're just not. Like, this is not easy to scale and build a network. It's not easy. There's real business and there's real businessmen behind doing it. But I always have that phrase. I can't remember who said it, but marketers ruin everything.
Yep, they do.
You get a good marketer, they're gonna go sell shirts before they've even made
any
them.
little opportunity.
And it's like, yeah, it's called pre-sale. Like, listen, dude, I know what pre-sale is. And companies that do pre-sale, they have the capacity to still make the shit. You haven't even found the person you want to make your shirt, and you're doing online sales. Okay, like now. Could it work out? I guess you could find it in the nick of time and then pre-sale, but like you were so focused on dollar, you were so focused on image.
You just wanted to get to the fun part, like.
But you're so focused on dollar and image and like
yeah.
what you're thinking it should be versus quality of product and consumer care.
Yep.
If you're focused on those, then at minimum, if you're going to do a pre-sale to build some momentum and put a little bit of funds in the bank to fund some of what you're doing, you at least have your logistical side of product maker and distributor ready to go. So when sales do come in, then within those 30 days, you're having it made and shipped and the infrastructure is in place. A lot of people aren't doing that. And you have a lot of guys in real estate, man, recruiting, agent attractive, whatever you want to call it. And they have no training, no organized training, no onboarding, no systems and processes for backends and how to actually use those. Like, but their event, oh man, it was cool. It's like, yeah, it's not hard to put asses in seats when everyone's scared for their fucking life, man. Right? Like if the world was running out of oxygen and I threw an event that was like, hey, how to make oxygen last longer, everybody would be there. In real estate right now, you throw a real estate event on how to 10x your business, people are so scared. They're not looking at whether like you're a reputable person versus just the clickbait of the advertisement. And they're just going because they want to do all they can to survive. And this is where, yes, it's on them. I get it. But like, I also get kind of upset, dude, because it's like, hey man, you're preying on your own. You got realtors out there that are really trying hard and they're hurting and they have all the energy in the world and the effort, but they just don't necessarily know what to do and they need some direction. And then you're manipulating their weakness right now and tricking them. And I'm going to use the word trick. You can say, I'm not trying to trick. I just want to hear. But if you know you don't have systems, processes, training, leadership, you fucking know. So yeah, man, like whether you want to say it's intentional or not, it fucking is. And you're just tricking them and coming over because you've got your own self-interest in front of actually fucking helping people.
There's so many products and programs and shit that are out there like that. As a for sure, like, former victim of shiny object syndrome, right? I think partial ADD, partially, in entrepreneur world, it's like before you have good leadership, you don't know what the fuck you're doing. So you're always kind of looking for an answer, right? You're always kind of hunting for something. One thing that has helped me tremendously, especially more recently too, since we started like getting coaching and stuff, was having these short-term objectives and missions. And then always asking the question when it comes to a potential shiny object or new thing or new person or new thing you're trying to take on, is this serving the immediate mission right now? And then it's a clear yes or no. And then also having the understanding that, hey, this shiny object, maybe it could work, maybe it could not work, but it's still going to be there 6 months from now. It's still going to be there next fucking year. So stay mission focused right now. Do the things you said you were going to do. And then once your time is up with those things and you have those things in place and it's shiny object season again, hey, cool. Now you can maybe explore that.
Yeah.
But
and it's human behavior. Like, dude, diet pills are still a thing.
Fuck yeah, they are.
Like, has any diet pill actually ever fucking worked?
Yeah, I mean, fractions, yeah, 1%, yeah.
Not even 1%. And
Yeah,
I'm talking
yeah.
about by itself like they fucking market.
Right.
But if you're in a calorie deficit and eating healthy
Yes.
food and exercising and taking the pill.
That's the 1% improvement. Yeah.
But that 1% isn't 1% by itself.
Yeah,
If
no.
you take that pill and don't do anything else,
It doesn't do anything.
but dude, they still sell.
Yes, they do.
Okay. And like people also still market diet pills like you don't, oh, dude, you can eat whatever you want. You want to have pizza? There's a way. Motherfucker. If you don't, if it's like,
Yeah.
and it's like, and even though that's true, hey, you can have a cheat meal once a week. It's like, okay, true. But all we're doing is just trying to say something attractive that the consumer wants to hear. Right. And we're catering to the distraction versus like, hey, can you have pizza? Yeah, man, but let's talk about that later. Let's talk about your fucking macros and what you're doing 90% of the time. I'm not going to keep focused and tell you how you can eat pizza and then still, well, hey, listen, if you fucking intermittent fast, okay, and you only eat 1 hour a day, give me whatever you want. Like, yeah, but then you have to ask yourself, hey, is the ingredients even, the food you're eating, is it going to fuel you?
Yeah.
I don't know. We're catering to a distraction versus like, hey man, can we get back on track with fundamentals?
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it's the same thing in people's business.
This is where I love the difference between marketing and branding, because that, from a marketing standpoint, sucks. No one's going to buy that shit. No one wants to hear they need to track their food and do cardio. It's not sexy. No one wants to do that shit. But when you build a strong personal brand and people trust
testimony
you,
after testimony
they
after
listen
testimony,
to you,
now they know.
You don't need to market. You don't need to convert people on this 60-second commercial.
I'm okay. Like for me, when it comes to like us gaining more agents, hey, I'm okay if I'm the fourth option because I kept it real.
Yeah,
and then you decided to go do 3 other dumb fucking things that were shiny and a distraction and a get rich quick or a shortcut or hey, we got you. Because by the time you get back to me, you're either quitting real estate, awesome, okay, or you've been through it, you fucking know better, and now you're like, okay, like now okay, these guys aren't cutting any corners. They're actually being truthful. Man, it's the work, but they know which work needs to be getting done. And now, dude, they're coming into the game ready to go.
It's true.
I'd rather have that person
all day
than like you coming over here and you're comparing me to a shiny object. It's like, look, if you want to compare me to that shiny object, here's my thing. I'm just going to give you hard conversion numbers. I'm just going to show you the money we make and the deals we do. And not only just me, I'm just going to show you everyone else we've helped and where they're at. And then do me a favor, go ask that fuckhead what he's got. And then let's just have, because if you're going to go there, then we got to go straight to the meat and potatoes. I'm not arguing with you about smoke and mirrors and fucking Fugazi or whatever fucking bunk shit you're selling me, because I know that dude's whack. Listen, just go get hard numbers. Let's just go get hard number on individual and influence. Okay. And then we're going to put that at the top. And then as we reverse engineer this, I'm just going to show you where it all comes from, all the way back down through every system and process and marketing tool and private group and event and client. I'm just going to show it all to you and go, hey, cool. So like what's under that guy's tip of iceberg? It's not an iceberg. It's just some floating ice on the top of the fucking water. It's not actually an iceberg that could take the Titanic down. It's just this fucking lone piece of fucking ice on top of the water that broke off, right? Broke off from another actual like large iceberg, and maybe it looks like an iceberg. It's just floating on the surface. There's no depth to it. That's where I go.
Or go do the shiny object and come back to us in 6 months.
I have no problem. Like, hey man, we're just not the place for you. Because and again, like what I'm getting at, it's not to be egotistical. What I'm getting at is, I'd much rather put my time into people that are all in and give them my time than to convince you of such. Not going to happen. And here's another thing, since we're on a fucking rant today about this here. You know how you said like, hey, that shiny object will be there 6 months ago?
Or 6 months from now,
6 months from now, right? Guess what real objects won't be? I won't. I'm not. Like if you come in and you talk a good game and you're quote unquote committed, but then you're missing phone calls, you're not returning phone calls, you're not being good to your word as far as like, okay, man, I'm coming, here's what I'm doing, here's what I'll, and then you're not answering phone calls, or if I'm checking up on you, and then like you decide to go take a distraction, you decided not to be over here. There's a way to handle that. Some people that just need to shop around and do their thing, dude, no problem, man, hit us up when you get time. But I'm not chasing you. But I might call and check in on you and just make sure things are good or ask if you got questions. Hey, cool. But the people that like literally tell you, yep, I'm there, I'm coming, and then they go silent. And then you call to check up like, oh, hey, dude, sorry, just busy. I'll call you tomorrow. Okay. And then they don't. Hey, listen to me. Even though it's okay for one person to like, they're just transparent and honest with where their thoughts are. But these people that like try to convince you and they're that what's in it for me mentality. So you're like, well, hey man, cool. No problem. Here's what's in it for you. Here's everything that we do. So what's in it for you is we'll actually build your business. And there's what's in it for you mentality type of person, but it was all just a big bluff because they were indecisive in the first place and had no idea. Then they don't show up to the meeting or the event. They don't return the phone call. Let me tell you something. I will not be there 6 months from now. And it's not because I don't care for you, but it's like, hey man, you're just trying to hop onto like what's hot, what's the next fucking thing, that you're not seeing the depth of what we do. You're just going to the next hot fad That's in. So when you call me 6 months from now, because wherever you went didn't work, I'm going to say, hey, listen, you're more than welcome to talk to some of our agents if they're open to some leadership and some influence. Cool, but listen, based off of how you conducted yourself here, I'm not the best person for you, because right now like you said this same thing to me 6 months ago, and for me to give you my time and to be all in and to help you build a business, which is fucking hard, if I'm questioning your integrity, how can I be all in? And I got to be all in to help you, or it's not going to work, and you got to be all in for yourself, right? But if I'm questioning your integrity and you were capable to say all these things to me just so you could learn everything it is that we do, just so you could then go shop around, you shop around before you say all these things. You start saying you're in and whatever it may be, like, but it's like when guys tell girls they love them to sleep with them. No.
Yep.
Hey, because now you can't trust that dude, right? Even if he comes back 6 months from, no, I did love you, even though I said it, and you're like, yeah, maybe I didn't mean it, but well, I actually did mean it.
Yeah.
Because I've been away from you for 6 months, and then
they've shown you, man. They've done you the gift of showing you who the fuck they are, and you already know, hey.
But that shiny object will still. Dude, but the shiny objects, they never go away. They will welcome everyone and everything because they're
trying to get a buck.
Their energy.
They're trying to get a buck.
100%. Me, it's like, hey man, and there's some people, no names, but there's one or two people on the docket of my I will not serve you list.
No, well, and it is good, man, because like honestly, like what you have to give, the value that you have to give, they're not at the place to even fucking receive it. Even if you were to give it, they've shown you they're not at the place to receive it. So it's like, hey, go under someone else, watch the fucking course, give it a few years. Maybe someday you'll be at a place where I will be of value to you right now. But like, man, you're just literally, you're not even at that fucking place. You need to start with the ABCs. I teach fucking math.
Character flaws. Yeah. If I can't trust your integrity, if you're capable of saying anything to me and then displaying that none of that was true, and then you don't have the common courtesy to return a phone call, or just go, hey man, had to change of heart. Hey, had to change my mind. Had some things pop up. Had to change of heart. I'm going to try this. Appreciate you being transparent. Cool, no problem. Yeah. But when you just ghost, but then, oh, hey, you know, like it gets weird. It's like, hey man, you're not even capable of conversation of mind shifts or whatever it may be. So like, how great of a business person are you? How great of a realtor are you? Like, I think you've got character flaws.
Diet pill.
And hey, I can't trust your integrity.
Yep.
Then I know me. I'm not going all in with you, which means this will not work.
No.
80% of me to you, and you being whatever the fuck it's not gonna work.
They're the people that, man, they'll take a diet pill, not do shit, and then leave a bad review about the diet pill.
Listen, dude, the supplement company I ran with my buddy, right? Like before real estate. Do you know how many times people came in? This pill's not working.
Yep. That's who they are.
And it's like, are you sure? And then you really want to go, hey, listen, pills pay the bills. The largest margin in supplement land are pills.
Got it.
You can make them for $4 and you sell them for $40. Pre-workouts, you're making them depending on how much volume you're doing. I think the best prices we were ever getting on pre-workouts were like $9 to $12, and you sell it for $30. So you're making $15.
Yeah,
and that's typical, 100% margin, right? Like if it costs you $15 to make it, you sell it for $30 because the $30 replaces the one you made plus
15. Yeah.
Another one to distribute, right? Like, so that's a normal margin. Pills, you can sell pills for $49.99 or $40, and you're making them for $5.
Oh yeah.
So of course they want to sell them.
People pay $70 for a bottle,
and it's like, look, dude, how much caffeine in Yohimbe extract do you need in your fucking body? Like, dude, it's not working.
And it's so funny,
bro. You're taking meth, dog.
Dude, and when you break down the individual ingredients, that was always one of my favorite things to do as a trainer, like looking at the individual ingredients. When you can get Yohimbe for literally $10 for 150 fucking pills,
but it doesn't have the little devil on the cover.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't have the extreme cuts with a six-pack on the cover. That 5-cent sticker on the outside, like it's that, right? But like, and you struggle, right? Because it's like, man, things that can be misleading or whatever. Yep, true. But then like when Joe Rogan talks about it, like, look, man, if you're dumb enough to take it, if you're dumb enough to think that that's how that works. Fuck, man.
You need to feel the pain. You need to do it.
And, well, I mean, that's just part of I don't know. But, like, those things kind of, like, remind. And then, you know, it leads me to, like, the next point of just separating yourself from the pack. Mm-hmm. And this is, I promise you, wherever you're at right now, you've learned and soaked up enough and know enough of what you should be doing to just shut the fuck up, start putting in the work, and getting after it and separating yourself from the pack. So like with fitness, right? Like, hey man, you know a couple different theories on workouts. You know 75 Hard's out there. You know Jocko's new one. What's it called? Discipline Equals Freedom.
Yeah, the DEF reset. Discipline Equals Freedom reset. Yeah.
Yep. Like, are you fucking deaf? Mm-hmm. Do it. Right. I could hear him. That's what it stands for. He just didn't say that.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
And you also have Google and YouTube of like best workouts to lose weight, best workouts to gain muscle.
Resources everywhere.
And dude, like honestly, with food, you can go to fast food all day and stay away from like sugar and terrible shit.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and just go, like, you can go to Taco Bell and get 2 to 3 shredded chicken tacos. Now, I'm not saying it's the best food for you. What I am saying is, if you're so busy that you can't prep your own food and you're also like on a budget, so like you just have to eat fast food. Yeah, Eli and I were there. We literally created a worksheet that showed calories and macro breakdowns that we got from online. Yep. We didn't know the owner of Taco Bell to get this. It's just on fucking Google. And you can look at the macros and go, hey, you know what, dude, a shredded chicken taco, that ain't bad. Yep. And you know what else you can ask Taco Bell for? A bowl.
Yes, you can.
So you can order 3 shredded chicken tacos. Okay, ask for a bowl.
Bitch in a bowl.
Throw all the fucking chicken and sour cream and tomato and lettuce into a bowl, and then just eat one of the soft taco shells.
Yeah, yeah.
So you got one tortilla, right? You can ask for avocado. Mm-hmm. So you got some healthy fats in there. You got 1 tortilla instead of 3, but you got 3 servings of protein, which is typically probably 1 serving of what you actually need. And you're good to go, man. Like this one girl showed the hack on how to get a $3 burrito at Chipotle.
Oh yeah. I saw that.
Right? She ordered a taco or tacos or something, but with everything on the side.
Yeah.
And then she just poured it all in. It was all, and then she poured it into the bowl, mixed it, and then put it in a burrito wrap. Yeah. There's creative ways, but like what I'm getting at is, donut bad, salad better. Yep. Okay. Cookie bad, ice cream bad, chicken better, basic protein shake. Well, hey, dude, what's like the best protein shake I should take? Hey, dude, you should just take a fucking protein shake and don't eat the goddamn ice cream. And I'm talking to myself. I'm not just talking to everybody else. I'm talking to myself. I'm not confused. You're not confused. You know enough to go, you know what? Let me just cut the shit, man. Let me separate myself from the pack. Let me get up. Okay. You want to curb an appetite? Get up and drink 8 ounces of water before you even get the boogers out of your fucking eyes. Okay. Just do that and get some push-ups in, start waking up a little bit, and then get outside and get an exercise. Go to the gym, work out in your basement, whatever it is, get your body moving, period. When you're eating food and you're not quite sure like what the best thing is on the menu, you got to go to Chili's or fucking Texas Roadhouse. Look, man, get their grilled chicken dinner.
Yep. Yes.
And then when they bring you an entire Adobe container full of fucking fajita wraps, have 1, have 2, don't have 6, right? Eat the fucking green peppers and onions with the chicken on the fajita. Don't just go eating fucking tortillas.
Common sense goes a long way.
But people make it more difficult in order to like create the excuse of like being in shape's impossible.
Yeah. Oh, it's a joke. The minutia. The people get so caught up in the minutia, and it's like, hey, you fucking idiot. Like, dude, that shit, I saw that in training all the time. People asking about what's the ideal amino acid profile.
I would smack somebody for saying that.
I'm like, dude, you have 50 fucking pounds to lose, bro. That's the ideal amino acid profile. Get some fucking weight off, bro.
Somebody was asking the other day, and bless their heart, but like somebody was talking about like, hey, has anyone thought of like, if you did YouTube videos on your channel every day?
Oh yeah, that's on our channel.
And I'm like, hey, you don't even have a channel. Why are you asking that question? So but seriously, when I talk about asking the right questions, dude, it's a real thing. Like, hey man, you coming on here just to ask some shit because like instead of going and doing the work, you're distracting yourself in private groups on Facebook and asking something, or versus like there's some real questions you could be asking about YouTube. There's like, what's your next step? Where are you stuck? What do you have? Ask that question. Don't ask the question of like if everyday videos work when we don't have and by the way, you don't even have to ask that question. Will and Eli tell you they make over $2 million a year on their channel and they're doing videos twice a week? Do you even have to ask, like, hey man, do you even have to ask that question?
People love doing that.
I know. And I get, that's where I have to like just take myself away from it. But when it comes to like, you might have an opinion on this as well, Eli, but when it comes to like, hey, this year coming up or just in the future in general, starting tomorrow, if you really want to separate yourself from the pack in your industry, in your family, in your circle of friends, It's the work. It's what you're doing when nobody's watching. It's what you're doing when you're not mingling. It's what you're doing when you're not learning. You're applying the work. Whatever you're learning, okay, or, like it's that. So you want to show up to your high school reunion this year 60 pounds lighter? You're not going to talk your way into that. You just got to do the work. You want to just look different for Easter in front of your family? Lose the weight. Do the work. You want to actually have people take you serious because your business grows and it's something that's substantial, that's respectable. You're not just out there like ghetto fab, like you got some company when you fucking don't. Stop being insecure. Stop being lazy. Start applying yourself at wherever you're at and then just do the work. And with doing that work, the reason why I do bring like physical stuff into this is if you're not doing the work with self, I have a hard time believing that you're maximizing the work you could be doing in your business.
Extremely. Yeah.
So just taking care of yourself. And you don't have to be a bodybuilder. I'm not into being a bodybuilder. You don't have to be a bodybuilder. You don't have to be an Ironman person. But you just got to get your body moving. And if you can see physical results, and like this is why it's so important. Physical is like literally a vehicle. If you can lose 10 pounds, you can physically see that. Do you know the confidence you get in yourself?
Oh, yeah.
By doing that? If you have more energy during the day, you can feel lack of brain fog and more energy.
Yep.
And the confidence that builds because you created that for yourself. Well, imagine what you can create in your business. Imagine what you can create as a father.
Yep.
What example are you setting? And that's how you build momentum. Those are momentum builders to where you get far enough onto the other side of this thing where not doing it is a harder conversation than doing it.
Yeah. True.
Right? Like, dude,
True.
like the cold plunge every morning. Okay? Like, bro. God. But I'll have a longer conversation with myself about not doing it
Fucking cold plunge.
than just like, hey, bro, you realize you could have been out by now. Like,
yep.
And it's like, yeah. And like you see kids, people will like, hey man, you take 4 more hours skating out of going and distracting yourself with something else and just doing it.
Master procrastinators, man.
Right? Like, but you have to see that, but just, separating yourself from the pack, it's going to get into the work. Ask the right questions, start applying yourself with the work. And no matter how important your business is or father or motherhood is, just humor me. Do something with your person. Do something with self for mental and physical improvement, no matter how physically fit you are or aren't. Just make some improvements there and realize the confidence builder that goes into everything else that you do.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how that ball gets rolling as far as momentum.
It is.
Right?
It is.
Super important things.
Coming back to the beginning, as far as energy, people sucking that energy, all the people that we just described and, all those situations, sucking our energy, one of the things that I'm real glad about some systems that we're putting in place to prevent that, because as we get bigger, 80-20, we're only going to get more conversations with people that are also like that, because it's fucking people.
And dude, I know it sounds cliche. One of the things that I've seen since athletics, military, police, fitness, business we do now, I know it's cliche, but seriously, if there was ever a cliche that was also consistent for the longest period of time ever, it wasn't just a cliche fad. 20% of your people doing 80% of the work. It was real in the Marine Corps.
Absolutely.
It was real in athletics. It's real in business. And like, I know it sounds cliche.
It's real everywhere.
But dude, 20%
Yeah.
of your network of what will do 80% of the
Yeah.
fucking
Oh, it's
guaranteed.
true. It's true.
But the other 80%, like, they'll take all your time.
if you let them, and that's why I'm excited. So right now, this phase that we're at our business, we're building courses so that like, hey, those people that come over, man, they don't need that direct access. The direct access to us will not serve them right now. They need a course. They need something to go into. They need to put in the time and the years to get themselves to a certain place to when the direct access to us is like suitable. It's actually valuable.
And let me just flip that on you guys. Will and Eli calling Andy Frisella every day. It won't serve us.
Yeah, no.
Dude's like probably a billionaire. I don't fucking know. But they're significantly farther than us, him and Sal.
Yep.
Great fucking guys, bro.
Yep.
Right? Like, they're just good dudes. If I have a question for Andy or Sal and I message something over, they answer it. But I very, very infrequently do that. Typically, I'm just commenting on their cars, or Sal and I will share like some baseball memes or something, but I'm respectable. But just as much as like we're saying that to some entry-level folks or immediate level folks, we're like, hey, You don't need me every day. There's plenty of courses and just other people along the way so far that you could be consulting and using that can help you at the level you're at. It's not from an egotistical standpoint. If we get bogged down helping the entry level stuff, then we're not pioneering the tip of spear that we're pioneering right now. So everyone else that's with us can also follow and trace and benefit that. If we're not out there leading the race, or like, you know, like I would call it like lead climbing. We're like lead climbing, like for where we're at, right? We're like, if we're not creating the path,
planting the anchors
and relationships and platforms for people to use in addition to us, there'll be nothing for them to use. We're just catering to the entry level, which means we don't grow past that, right? But we have people within those levels from all the way from beginner level to where we're at that can help with that. And again, it's not to be egotistical. Andy Frisella helping me every day, helping us every day would not serve us, bro. There's things that he's doing right now that are significantly more important for him. And also like, hey, dude, he's got people around him that are plenty capable to help us with wherever we're at. Makes sense, right? So like, it's important to like, it comes from like a humble thing, but like you got to let people maximize like, hey, what are you best suit doing? It's like, hey, you don't want me helping you every day. When you're at entry level or immediate level, you don't want me helping you every day. You want to get help, and that's fine. Get the help, and we got people to help you. Yeah. But you want me pioneering what's next, because when you go from the level you're at now to the next level, if I haven't created any opportunity for you there, it's a dead end.
It is.
We're stuck.
And for guys for guys that are going at, you know, high level, like high speed shit, it's like, man, if you're not creating systems and processes and tiers like this, it's going to suck all your energy. You're going to be shooting yourself.
And we're also protecting our time, because the people that are putting in the work, you want to make sure that your time is manageable for them. Yeah. Something else I had, man, too, was like, I was talking to my Kate last night, and she's starting like her clothing company and doing some stuff that she's been wanting to do for a long time, and cool, and it's awesome. I'm super excited for her, and she's starting to like make some decisions. So she's getting excited and doing it, and she's getting some samples made, and then she asked me, she's like, have you always been like this? Like, you're just confident, like just making decisions and just running the show? And because she's like, you know, I struggled for the longest time of like making decisions and having to ask you or my dad, like what you guys thought. And if you guys thought something different than what I thought, it would like paralyze me, or I wouldn't ask anybody. I just wouldn't, you know, like I'd have some ideas, but wouldn't make the decision. But now she's getting better at it. And I go, you know, and it brewed like a thought for me. And what I told her was, I was like, hey, I think I'm confident. And this is important, I think, for everyone. If you have a work ethic, or if you don't have a work ethic, understanding the power of a work ethic and why it's so important. And the reason why I feel so important is when she asked me that, I said, well, I am confident, and I'm confident in two forms. First lane is I'm confident as in a situation or opportunity presents itself, and I have context and history and whatever, right? I can use my prior experience and strengths, which are equal to confidence, into going, yep, I got that. Right? Like, done. Got it. Like, shooting weapons. If someone's like, hey, let's go shoot right now, I'm uber confident. I'm uber confident. Like, look, dude, I got this. Make sense? Versus the other side of confidence for me, and for a lot of you that maybe you're just not identifying it. I'm either confident, I got this for those reasons, or I'm confident I will figure it out. Because she gave me a scenario, and I was like, yeah, I don't get stuck on these two things. I give some thought process to both of those options, and then I try one. And if it works, awesome. And then that brews more confidence for context later in the future. Or if it doesn't work, awesome. Now we just know we've got to try something else. But I know because of our work ethic, we're going to keep trying shit. No? Okay, come back. Trying shit until we figure out the proper way to do something to get it going. So like, I'm either confident because of contextual property, or I'm confident through work ethic that we're going to figure it out. Does that make sense?
100%.
And then there's just no ego. Like if we get something wrong, I'm sure we get a lot wrong. I don't keep score. I see a wrong answer, or that didn't work. I see it as like a destination. It's a solution.
Adjustment.
It's a solution in itself. It's process of elimination.
100%.
Correct? Like how many times have you taken a multiple choice test and you didn't know the fucking answer, but you knew what it wasn't.
Yep.
Come on,
it's
dude.
not these two. Then it comes down to these. Yeah.
Right. And then you're like, all right, it comes down to these two, but like, it's definitely not that because it's asking me this, which is division, and that's multiplication.
Yep.
So you're able to find the right answer because you're able to eliminate ones that were not the answer. Like
100%.
So those are solutions in itself.
Yes.
So you and I finding something that doesn't work. Great process of elimination. Like we're getting closer to what is going to work. And then when we find out what's working, because we have a real fucking business and we track fucking conversion and we can physically see where things are working, you then triple down on what's working and you fix and or eliminate things that don't work.
And you don't put too much weight on the outcome. Like if you're so fucking set on something,
like you just
if this doesn't work, oh my God. We don't give a shit if it doesn't work. Cool. We know. Like let's just roll.
100%. We don't have to be right. Like, because being wrong is being right.
Yeah.
We're just on the road. Like,
eventually you're going to fucking win.
Dude, being wrong is just a stoplight on the road to being right. Do you understand? Like, hey, that didn't work. Cool. But now we just eliminate that. Cool. Dude, process of elimination, right? So like, but it's the caveat though is you have to have a work ethic. If you're not being creative and seeing pivots, and if you don't have a work ethic to continue to resource and figure out different ideas that could possibly work in conjunction or in addition to the one that did not work, if you get stuck procrastinating, getting stuck on yourself or fearful, whatever it is, whatever hiccup hinders your work ethic, emotional, whatever it is, well then no. Like if you get something wrong, you're fucked.
Yeah.
The caveat is you got to have a work ethic. But if you have a work ethic, do you know how confident you can be? Because wrongs they're not getting in your way. They're literally leading you to the answer. And sometimes you get the answer right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Right? Like, let's just go to life real quick. How many people are happily married? Was that the first person you met? Maybe. Some people get it right out of the gate. Whatever. Cool. Right? Fuck you. not fuck. I'm being funny. But some people get it right out of the gate. You meet someone in high school and it just worked and it's always worked. Hey, man, cool. And just because it was the first person doesn't mean that there was someone better out there for you. No guarantee. Like, hey, you could have just got it right the first time. Cool. But you've dated like 6, 12, 19, 30 fucking people before you got married because maybe you weren't even in the right mindset. You just couldn't find the right person. Whatever it is. Right. The bottom line is it's so crazy how like on our emotional side, we'll put so much effort, but then on like your self-care or business side, one little fucking thing happens and you just want to throw in the towel. You've dated 30 chicks, dude, but you get one thing wrong in business and you're hung up on that. Like,
100%.
Dude, you're happily married and it took you 30 times.
Yeah, it's interesting.
But there was no quit because like innately you wanted a mate, you wanted a family, and it meant enough to you.
You had good work ethic over there.
You weren't even realizing that you were just going from failure to failure to failure, and it was just leading you right into success. It's no different over here. If you have a work ethic and you care about your business and what you're doing, these wrongs are just going to lead you right to the right because they're eliminating themselves as options, which allows you to just further focus on what could be the answer.
Man,
right?
It makes me think, I can't remember who it was, so I'm sorry I can't give credit where it's due. But someone had a video the other day where they were saying like one of the biggest separators between successful and unsuccessful people is that the people who are, we'll say unsuccessful, have this mentality of, I will do this as long as the result is this. Whereas the majority of successful people, you don't know if you're going to get paid a dime for anything that you fucking do.
No.
Yet you still do it at 110% as if you were going to have this guaranteed success.
Because it's either going to give you success or it's going to let you know that wasn't the thing to do. Great, now I can move on.
Yep. And that comes down to the work ethic portion. Like I think what a lot of people are afraid of is, hey, I'm going to put in all this work and I might not, it might not be the right thing. Whereas when you just fucking know you're putting in the work regardless, it doesn't matter if it's that thing or the next thing or the next thing or the next thing. You're still going to be doing shit.
Which leads me to my final point for the podcast, which is that comes from self. What are you built from? The way I approach real estate is the way I approached that fitness company, Fit Republic. And the way I approached that was the way I approached police work. And the way I approached police work was the same way I approached the military. Like, I never knew, like I didn't shoot a rifle and I didn't know how to swim until boot camp. And then even after boot camp, my swim level was like arguable. I think they said I was qualified to swim through boot camp because the drill instructor was like, hey, He got close enough, and we're fighting a war in a desert. Fuck it.
Yeah, yeah.
If you're in water, it's because a Humvee got blown up and turned upside down into a fucking creek, and you're probably dead anyway. Fuck it. All right, we're not fighting.
Not backstroking
We're
out
not
of there.
fighting in the ocean. This isn't fucking. What was that movie with Nicolas Cage? Waterworld.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, fuck it. And if you fall
No,
off,
that wasn't Nicolas Cage. That was who the fuck was
it was
that?
gay. Who cares?
Yeah.
Not gay. Don't get mad. Not like sexual preference. I didn't like the movie.
Yeah.
Point is, you know, I really learned like a work ethic of how hard you can try at something. Like you think you know how to work hard, right? You think you know how to try hard. When I went through boot camp,
Kevin Costner.
the amount of effort I was able to put through swimming and the amount of effort I was able to apply toward weaponry. I'd never tried so hard at something before. Now I did have help. I was fortunate. I had really locked on, neurotic, in a good way for training. They were training us for war, drill instructors that exposed me to a bigger threshold of effort. Correct? And then once I had that, but what I had in conjunction with that was my dad was a Marine. My grandpa was a recon cat in the Army in World War II, and Bronze Stars, Silver Stars. Like I had pride, man. Like I wanted to be taken serious. Baseball I was great at, but I tried to the level that like coaches wanted us to try. I wasn't like before practice, after practice. I didn't sleep with my baseball bat. You know what I mean? Like, but I was talented. I didn't get neurotic about it. So boot camp was like the first time I really got obsessive about effort. And I did have a talent for shooting. No talent for swimming, but I got by. But I did have a talent for shooting. But then how far I took those through my career was 100% predicated on learning a new threshold of what effort really is, while coupling it with, I went to the Marine Corps, man, because I wanted to prove myself. I wanted to truly be tested at something I didn't know that I was going to be good at it or not. And I had pride of wanting to be respected. Like I want to be legit in that world. Like if I can be a Marine, hey man, there's something to be said about that. You know, and like I was taking myself serious, dude. I wasn't too fucking casual, with my approach. Okay, so then my point is, as much as we're talking about these decisions and asking the right questions, putting yourself around the right people. If you really do have character, if you really do take yourself serious and you really do want to be great, then you got to understand that you might not know what real work is yet. Not just hours in the day, but what you did with those hours. And you might not know a threshold of just being able to have the bandwidth for that effort, but getting around guys that do, girls that do, you can increase your capacity. Just like my drill instructors got me to a whole different threshold, right?
Yep.
People around you in business and in life can do the same thing. However, if I would have wasted those drill instructors' times, they'd have kicked me the fuck out. My job, while they were pouring into me and giving me that work ethic and that threshold and that skill set, my job was to never fucking quit. And put out every fucking day. And it was my pride and who I wanted to be and the image I had of myself, of the Marine that I wanted to be, that kept me going every day. And all they required was to keep fucking going with the work. They navigated the sail for you. They had training every day. Right? All the way through the Marine Corps. Like, they've got it planned out. Yep. You just got to come with 100% effort and you fucking quit. Now, not quitting as in like you can't do any more push-ups and they fucking choke you and make you do more. Not that, but just like literally quitting, like trying to go AWOL or leave boot camp. Like you just can't quit. You got to apply yourself every day. When you guys are navigating business and life and you're putting yourself around people that you can truly grow from, don't waste their fucking time. Take yourself serious. Don't be too casual, and then build that. But that experience alone, dude, I know we always joke that I couldn't swim and stuff and my mom was a hippie and it is fun. It is lighthearted, but the number one takeaway is like, dude, I've been using that for my entire life of what I stand for, what I want to represent, how I want people to feel about me, how I feel about myself. Those character traits are what allow me to work so hard and to do the work. It comes from within. So you got to really have a conversation about yourself and what you fucking stand for, or what you want to stand for and where you want your life to go. Because if you don't have that flame within at first with those character traits, something's going to give with the work and the effort into something, and like there's going to be some quit there, right? Like,
and if you don't have previous experience like that to fall on,
this is your first one.
This is your first one, and intentionally go out and do some shit. You know, like for me, like, man, I knew I was naturally just not competitive, and I knew that was not a good thing. You know, like competitive with myself, yeah, but I'm like, I want to be competitive with people. Like,
you fucking jumped out of that plane.
I know it, but
you put yourself with me.
But that's where I was like, I intentionally, yes, put myself with you. Started training jiu-jitsu intentionally just to put myself in more competitive situations. You guys got to do that because I didn't have these experiences with team sports. I don't have military experience.
But one
You've
more
got to
thing.
put yourself around those things.
True, but one more thing you're leaving out. You competed. It wasn't just go to jiu-jitsu.
No
disrespect to jiu-jitsu.
You have to
Look, man, you can go 3 times a week and go
yeah.
play touch butt.
Yeah.
Okay, and like you know this guy jiu-jitsu. There's a guy that doesn't get competitive, and there's a guy that always gets tapped, and he never fucking goes all in to really try to get out of something. But he gets a lot of pleasure complimenting everyone that's like beating him.
Yeah.
And then you get into that beta role, and it's like, no, man, at some point you got to go for it. But if you go for it and it doesn't work, it's a fail.
Yeah.
So sometimes like the guy that like is comfortable getting tapped out and like, Eli, dude, great job, man. The way you like rolled around and like did this, and like they get self gratification by complimenting someone else. It's toxic positivity.
Yeah, don't listen to those guys.
Because if you come I'm like, oh great, I tapped out the guy that likes getting tapped.
Yeah.
Great. Like, no, Eli, you've competed in jiu-jitsu competitions, right? And remember the first one you went to, and I'm complimenting you, not calling you out, but the first one you went to, you called me on the way. I remember I was on I-25. I think I was going to the Pullman, our spot at the Pullman.
Yeah.
And you called me like, yeah, bro. Or maybe I called you and I just didn't know you were competing that day. Or you called me, whatever.
I think it was like the day before or something.
Yeah. And you're like, yeah, man, it'll be fun, man. Like, I just kind of want to get my feet wet and just kind of like,
feel it out.
just kind of feel it out and see where it's at. And I was like, what the fuck did he just say to me? You whack ass hoe. And you're like, nah, what do you? I was like, motherfucker, you're going to win. I'm like, Eli, you're going to fucking win. So everything you've learned, when to put the pressure on, when to pull off so you don't gas yourself out, when to fucking breathe, no, man, you go apply everything you learned to the best of your ability with the intention of beating the fuck out of everybody. And then when you don't, you truly know where you are.
You did it. Yeah.
Okay. If you're a personal trainer, like when you were a personal trainer, if a guy's not going to give 100% effort on the bench or on the squat, how do you know where his starting point is? So then when you have him setting up his workout for the weekend, like, hey man, I want you going at 75% of your max for this many reps, and this is how we're going to grow. Well, if his fucking max was already 75%, and then now he's going 75% of the 75%, are these workouts even hard?
Yep.
Because he sandbagged? Like, hey, dude, don't sandbag in a competition. It's intentionally put in place to go all out. I'm not going to Bandamere so I can get halfway on my car. Bro, it's safe. They got fucking walls and shit. They got a sticky track. It's literally an environment allowing you to go all in to see where your shit's at.
Especially if my sole intent of training in the first place was to breed my competitive nature, especially there. I know that guy you're talking about, the complimentary guy.
Yeah, bro.
Half those guys. Now, here's the thing. If you're one of those guys, I hope your intention for jiu-jitsu is you just want to go and get a little exercise. You just want to go and like, get some time away from the family and have some personal time. Like if that's your intention, cool, be that fucking guy. But if your intention is to go and put yourself in these stressful situations to see if you can come out on top when people are going 100%, then no, you can't be that guy.
True. And let me just throw one more thing in there where like, no, don't be that guy. Because here's why. Hey, if you're learning jiu-jitsu for like self-confidence and to defend yourself.
If that's your reason, yes. If you're going there to kill some time away from the family and just move your body a little bit, there's a lot of guys like that. Cool. Do your fucking thing, bro.
See how Eli is giving you out? Listen.
There's some bitches out there, bro. Hey. Let them be bitches. There's some bitches out there.
Hey, listen, bitches.
Oh, shit.
You got to taste the blood. You got to.
Listen, shit. It does taste pretty good.
Just for one time, just go for it and get it and see it. Listen. You don't have to do it forever, but for you, quote unquote, bitches out there, listen to me. Just one time, just see the opportunity and like go for it and get the tap or get the choke, and then just see what that does for you, and then just let me know. And if it's not for you, if whatever you feel after you just had the confidence and the grit to just make the pivot, make the move, and you got the choke, just let me know if that serves you or not. I'm not saying and purposefully hurt people and get weird. You know what I mean? But like there's some necessity to that. But I guess my final point is boot camp was hard for me. I knew it was going to be hard. It was also eventually the easiest thing I ever did in the Marine Corps, which means my threshold had to continue to increase, right? Because not that things were like always hard, but like, dude, just the responsibility of people's lives. It got harder over time, which means your threshold had to continue to progress past boot camp. Boot camp was not the pinnacle. It was not the finale. It was the entry, right? But jiu-jitsu, physical fitness, but getting a trainer, whatever it is, like you can go subject yourself to something that's hard. And the reason why is, hey, if you really do have it in you that like, hey man, I do want to take myself more serious. I do want to stand for something. I do want to have fucking character and be proud. And I do want to raise my kids in a certain way.
Yep.
You have to practice those character traits.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to exercise and strengthen those. And exercising and strengthening those is doing hard things. Weighted hikes, runs. If all you can do is walking, because walking for 30 minutes is hard, awesome. That's fine. Just find your hard, right? And then when that's no longer hard, then you've got to increase it. And then that's on you in self-awareness to increase it. But the point is getting into jiu-jitsu and just different things like that. It allows you to go practice those character traits.
Yeah.
That will then be your strength and your pillars for business and life and parenting and whatever it may be, to be able to like stand on those, and like, dude, my mom passed away this year, and like, I don't know if you're ever prepared to like lose a parent if you care for your parents. And like, for me, my mom was like not that I don't love my dad. My mom it's my mom.
Yeah.
Like that's that one that she's had the strength, to support everything I've ever done, even when she wasn't sure. Like when I was talking to my mom about entrepreneur stuff, and dude, I'm talking to my mom about this stuff. I'm also sleeping in a pantry.
Yeah.
And she didn't necessarily believe in real estate or other stuff, but she believed in me.
Yep.
And she knew what was in me, and like, and that meant something, but then like, hey, my mom passes away. Well, the night before that, I had a speaking event. And I was talking to my mom about the speaking event a little bit, and she's a little bit out of it because she ended up passing away the next morning. But she's still coherent enough, and she's like, do it. Great. She'd say like one words, and I'm like, man, she could pass away while I'm gone. And I had this conversation with myself for a moment while I was still at the hospital with her. And it was like, what's my goal? Is my goal to sit here to make sure I see my mom's last breath, to make my entire mom's existence for me about the last breath? Or am I going to go be who I need to be and make every other breath prior to that of what she breathed into me, of who she wanted me to be, matter more?
Yep.
And I was like, man, that was hard. Like easier fucking said than done, but it was like, hey.
And the answer, is both are okay.
Well,
like
you just have to be you. But for me, it was like, hey, I knew what my mom wanted me to do.
Yep.
And I knew like, hey, if my mom passes away while I'm speaking, can I stomach that? Yes, because I know my mom gave every other breath to making sure I was me, dude. Yeah, right? And like her. Me from who she knew I wanted to be.
Yep.
So I did that. And then the contrast is, after my mom passed away, like I was working. And some people might think like, you're distracting yourself. You're burying your feelings. You're not dealing with your feelings. I had friends fucking call me and literally tell me on the phone, it's okay to break. Like your assumption is that I'm like pushing something down and not dealing with it. And hey, I appreciate it, but you don't know me like that. And really I wasn't. You are around me all the time. If I'm dealing, I deal. I'll speak, I'll cry, I'll deal. But what felt best in those moments after my mom passed, from the very next day after she passed, was just, it's weird to say, but like as hard as it is to like lose my mom, it was also coupled with like peanut butter and jelly. Cool. I know that sounds weird. Just hear me out. The peanut butter would be like losing my mom, and the memories and the hardship and the whatever. The jelly on top of it was you're also kind of resurrected with this new mission and responsibility and required strength to now move on with, hey, no one lives forever with their parents. And the fact that you had her till she was 64, although young, the relationship you had with your mother for 64 years is very, it's a blessing. So now you're in this new chapter of life on almost like how almost how like a an aircraft launches a fighter jet. Right? Like the aircraft is on the ship, right?
Yep,
And then it builds all this momentum.
Slingshot.
But at some point, that weight, that machine that launches that plane stops at the edge of the ship, and then that plane's got to fly.
Yep.
And you got to take everything that thing gave you to get it. Like, I feel like that's my mom.
Yeah, that's good.
So like, hey, like she passes, and it's like, bummer, right? But then it's also like, you have to be excited and responsible and attentive to the mission moving forward. Even though it hurts that she's gone, you're still on your mission, son. You still have a lot to accomplish. And then you have to do that for your kids.
It's true.
So like,
we're all going to be there.
I felt like pain with not liberation, but like pain with
direction,
baptism, resurrection, like just a new chapter. Like even though like my mom had passed and it was a bummer, it was like, but you're turning the page to literally like you feel different about who you are to the family now and how you're head of household. And once my mom passed, what she was to me made even more sense, even though I knew it. Yeah. Like I already knew what my mom was to me. But then when she passed, it really sinks in. And when it really sinks in, it's painful, but there's also this layer of clarity to what I now need to be to my kids. Right? And then, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm making sense with that, but like
1,000%.
It's an interesting dichotomy of like just different feelings and different emotions of like, wait, you were so sad about your mom that you went and spoke? Wait, you were so sad about your mom that you went to work the next day? Like, yes, because it's like, even though it hurts, I know who I am now even more. I know what my mission is now even more. And I know where I need to be in life even more. Make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. You're taking that energy, man, and you're transmuting it into something completely
But I feel
different.
like building that started in boot camp. I feel like wanting to be a person of character, be a person of strength, be a person to be relied upon, be a person to protect, be a person to care, be a person that could go through it. You know, like you can't be a person that someone looks up to. You can't be a person of leadership if you haven't gone through hard shit or things that withstand those that allow you to speak to others. If you're just sheltered your whole life and never try anything, how are you leading? And you don't have to go be some fucking war junkie. I'm not saying that, but just taking care of your mind and your body. And, you know, sometimes, man, leadership is like hard as fuck, right? Like being there for people is like pressure in itself, right? And people might see the shiny. That's why they want to be a team leader. That's why they want to own a brokerage. That's why they want to build a network at EXP. That's why they want to be on YouTube. Yeah. Like, let me give you an example. You see like a special operations or like Marine infantry guy on a poster as a kid. I did. Okay. My dad was in the Marine Corps. I had Marine Corps posters as a kid. And I saw this poster and he had camouflage on his face and he had his AR-15 with like the 203 grenade launcher on it. And he had these gloves and he had this like rope thing that was like used for, rappelling or some shit. Just fucking looked badass. And when you see it, you're like, badass. Okay. When you go through it, if you were to ask me to look at that poster, and this is a true story, this happened before between Kate and I. We saw an old poster or something on TV, and it was very similar to the same thing I saw as a kid.
Yeah.
And when I saw this guy, I go, this dude's hungry.
That
water's cold.
Yeah.
His lady's probably still in the country cheating on him.
Yep.
His family has no idea where he's at. He has no idea where his family's at. But it's like, but the dude's going through all that because he's willing to die for a cause.
Yep.
That's what I see.
Completely different.
In that poster. But you don't get to see that in a poster until like you've just gone through your own transformation into influence. And a lot of times people get distracted by shiny. And if you're going into leadership for shiny, please hear me out. Like, that's not what it's for. And kudos to my father when I was looking at going to the military. My dad was like, he never preached military. I know we're getting long-winded. I apologize.
You're good.
But I feel there's some important things here.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I got out of baseball and like I'm home and I'm talking to my dad about like the Marine Corps. I never asked my dad that shit. And my dad never preached it because it was like, yo, you're good at baseball. You're going to go play pro baseball. My dad just put me in front of the opportunities I was doing. He never even mentioned military stuff as a kid. He just let me be me. And then I started talking about it. And he's like, hey, are you going to join the Marines or the military or something? Because like you're asking me a lot of stuff. And I brought up the Marines and he's like, hey, man, go look at everybody. Go look at every branch, and we can talk about it if you want to talk about it, but go look at everybody. And I go look at everybody, Air Force, Coast Guard, all that shit, right? And then I decided, like, this is it. And I go downtown to MEPS, where you take like your ASVAB and shit.
Okay.
I did go down with the Marine Corps recruiter because I knew the Marine Corps recruiter, so I go down. And while I'm there, you run into other recruiters for other branches because you got a ton of kids down there taking ASVAB, right? And maybe it was just an unlucky day, but the Navy dudes, the Coast Guard dudes, like, dude, their uniforms weren't ironed, didn't look good. They were out of shape. Like, I wasn't scared of any of these motherfuckers. I was like, dude, I'm good. Like, I'm in great shape. I just got out of baseball.
Yeah.
Come on, bro. Come on.
Yeah.
Right? The Marine Corps, whether it was the female ones that I saw or the males, like, dude, they were in great shape. Their uniforms were ironed and straight. And the way that they walked, they had pride. Now, you can call it ego. I don't give a fuck. If you haven't been in the Marine Corps, you don't know any better. They had pride for representing our culture, representing the Marine Corps, and representing themselves. And I'm like, man, that's just where I got to be.
Yeah.
So my dad's like, so I told my dad, he's like, all right. Now, context on my dad and I's relationship, I challenged him a lot. He was gone a lot, driving his truck. He got, so it created some space within our relationship. I'm a teenage boy playing baseball. Like, we butted heads, so context. And then, so it does come out. I'm going to the Marine Corps. He's like, all right, well, how'd you score on your ASVAB? Contrary to popular belief, I fucking scored really high. Like, Eli can attest, I might be smarter than I look, right? And he's like, oh, awesome. And he's like looking at all these options. Now, my dad works on aircraft in the Marine Corps. Super smart electrician guy. Still does that. Like, he's just really uber analytically smart and worked on like the F-16s and 18s and Harriers and like cool shit, right?
Yep.
So he's seeing my ASVAB score. And dude, for the first time outside of me being great at baseball, and with my dad working so much with his truck on the road, he made like 4 games in 4 years for high school. So my dad hadn't been around me enough to really be proud of me in a long time.
Sure.
Last time I remember him being proud of me was like junior high when I'm on like a Little League World Series team and we're crushing.
Yeah.
So he was proud of me with like baseball, but he never displayed it because he was never at the games, right? So I don't hit a home run and then my dad's in the stands going, right?
Yeah.
So he sees my score. And I was bored in school. So I got C's. Not because I was done, because I was bored. But my dad sees my ASVAB score. And I think for the first time I'm impressing him. And I'm about to shit all over it. It only lasted like 5 seconds. Because he sees my score. He sees everything I qualify for job-wise. Of like, hey, you can do this. You can do this. Right? And he's like, my dad's reading all this shit. Right? And I'm just like, yeah, cool. And he's like, well, so what are you going to do? And I was like, well, like I'd like to get into like special operations or like go recon route. And he's like, oh, like what?
Yeah.
And he's like, what? He's like, he's like, but you gotta in the Marine Corps, you have to start in the infantry. You don't just go recon sniper. You got to start in the infantry and then get letters of recommendation to move up. But you got to learn the backbone. If you're going to be in special forces, well, they're in support of the main effort, which is infantry. So you have to know that world. Imagine a team leader trying to run a real estate team that's never done transactions.
Yeah, rough.
It's that, okay?
Yeah.
But once you've done that world, you'll have context to then be in support of, correct? It's like, well, you got to be in the infantry. And I was like, yeah, I know. That's what they said. And he's like, you want to run up and down hills all day screaming hoorah?
Yeah.
And I was like,
kind of.
yeah, and he's like, think about it. And he's a little frustrated, but wasn't telling me not to. And a couple of days later, he's asking me more about the other branches again. And I was like, Dad, I got to be honest with you. Like, because I didn't tell him what happened at MEPS. I just told him I was choosing Marine Corps.
Yeah.
So then a couple of days later, he's talking to me about it. And he's like, well, hey, what about this? And I was like, I haven't done any other branches. And he's like, oh, well, have you thought about some of these other things? And he's like, what is it? You know, and I was like, well, Dad, like when I was at MEPS, like they weren't in shape. They just did this, they just did that. And he's like, yeah. And he knows I'm fucking hard headed, man. If you don't look, if you're out of shape trying to lead me, you're in trouble.
Yep.
And he's like, yeah, but you know, this and this. And I was like, yeah. And I mentioned college a couple of times, but my dad made a statement. Long story long here. My dad made a statement and it helped me. He goes, I was like, why are you so concerned about me going to the Marine Corps? I finally asked him. He's like, well, you've been mentioning like college and these other benefits. And I'm like, well, yeah, because like that's cool, right? Like I don't fucking know. I'm just looking at it. I'm looking at all the options. You're the one that fucking asked me to look at all the options. And like these places are telling me this, these places are telling me this, and you know, and I'm like, and he's like, yeah, he's like, you were asking, he's like, you're talking to me about all these other things that these other branches are kind of like dangling in front of you. And he goes, son, it's not that the Marine Corps doesn't have the same options. It's your GI Bill. It's all this stuff. But like these other branches will like, they'll let you go to college, all this other shit. And he goes, son, you go to the Marine Corps to be a Marine.
Oh,
all this other
right
shit.
There. Yeah.
Oh,
That's
like a
sold me right there.
motherfucker.
Yep.
It gave me direction because it's like when we talk about asking yourself the right questions, it's like, hey, why are you going to the military? What are you trying to accomplish? Like, and dude, hey, we'll pay for your college. We'll help, you know, like we'll give you a rental car
Shiny
for a fucking vacation.
Shiny objects.
Because they're marketing to the mass of what they think they want. The Marine Corps doesn't do that. You know, and like when my dad was like, son, you've been talking to me about all these other things. So I just don't know how, so my dad didn't know how serious I was being. My dad was protecting the Marine Corps, bro.
Yep.
Talk about culture.
Yep.
When a fucking dad protects his beloved Marine Corps from his son because he doesn't know how serious his son is because his son's talking about playing for Army Navy football or fucking college. And it's like, well, then go there.
Right.
My dad's literally sheltering the Marine Corps for me.
It's really cool.
But then once we had the conversation, he's like, well, I didn't know what you were meaning by all these things. I'm like, I don't fucking know either. I'm just telling you what they're telling me. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
And he's like, son, I'm doing, you know, I'm reluctant because you go to the Marine Corps to be a Marine and you're going to get some other benefits, but they're secondary. When you get into the Marine Corps, he's like, I don't care what any recruiter ever tells you. When you get in the Marine Corps, your primary role that will always come first is being a Marine. So if they'll send you to college during your enlistment or if they'll do certain things, it's only if it somehow benefits the Marine Corps. It's not because they don't got better shit to do, so they're just like letting you guys go to fucking La La Land or fucking Never Never Land and be fucking Peter Pan for a week. No, if they're sending you somewhere, it's to benefit the Marine Corps. Like you're going there to be a Marine, and it was like it made things so simple for me. So then like, but when you go there to be that, man, I wasn't going there for shiny objects. I was going there to test myself and to figure out like how well I could withstand and just be taken serious, and not just to have my dad or anyone else take me serious, but so I could take myself, you know, serious. Right. But like when you get into that world, man, and you see how hard special operators go at it, dude, of lack of food, lack of sleep, while still being astonishingly proficient at tactics, right? And then you see guys just get run raw and rack, and they just go, and it's like, and like real leadership, man. Like you see leadership, Marine Corps infantry, right? Like team leaders, squad leaders, platoon commanders, like just like incredible humans. Some of them Ivy League graduates, by the way, that just I guess have an adrenaline rush, right? But like you see it, and then when you want to look up to aspire to be them, it's nothing shiny. There's nothing fancy. There's nothing romantic. What it is, though, is honorable. You're a Marine's Marine. Marines are looking up to those Marines. These dudes are eating last. They're not going, even when you're statewide, you're not going home on the weekends. You're training. You're in the middle of nowhere in Camp Pendleton training and getting after it. And it's like, no matter how much fun you had on the weekend trying to like hit on chicks on Pacific Beach or go out for your 4-day weekend for 4th of July, right? Because you got the fucking time off and cool, make sure you get a haircut. You come back Monday morning, and then you come back to formation, and you're watching dudes come out of the fucking mountains muddy, long hair, dirty. Like they didn't have as much fun as you, but all of a sudden it's like Ed Milet says, winning is more fun than fun is fun. And you see those guys and you go, that's the Marine Corps. That's a Marine's Marine. That's the fuck, right? Like and then you aspire to do it, but it's not because it's like it's out in the open, man. Like, you know, it's going to be hard. You might not make it. You might get cut. You might not have what it takes. You might get seriously fucking hurt attempting to just get into some of these units, but like, or just being respected by your, like, because the Marine Corps infantry is it's the rodeo, bro. Like, like the most incredible dudes I've ever met is in the Marine Corps infantry. Brian Shantosh, infantry, right? Like, infantry officer, amazing, like amazing what he's accomplished, right? Yeah. He's rowing the Atlantic Ocean right now. I'll just leave you with that, okay? Yeah. Great. Yeah. We'll talk about that later. That's for another day. But yes, literally he's rowing the Atlantic Ocean. But you see that. That's where leadership started for me. So that was my perception. I think what I'm trying to get at is like, that was my perception of leadership. Leadership was like sacrifice, pain, fatigue, frustration, lack of relationships, like right? Like MREs for life, you know, like just risk. But it's like, but the way I was seeing them as a Marine, it's like, dude, it's honorable, the responsibility and what they can shoulder. Makes sense? Like, these guys, they don't break. They're oak. Right? And it's like,
that's a good word for it.
I'm trying to aspire to be that. Oak, by the way, takes 10 times longer to grow than pine. Go figure. But just like oak, right? So then when I translate that into, you know, police work, so then I do my career in the Marine Corps, right? Like, decent. I'll call my Marine Corps career decent compared to a Brian Shantosh or some of these other guys, right? Like, or just look up Lina Fallujah. Gods of war, bro. Okay? Literal, not video game shit. Literal gods of war. I just gotta know and walk amongst giants. Me, mildly interesting. And I don't mean that to just be overly humble. I literally mean I'm mildly interesting compared, right? But having the ability to aspire to be the best I could be, and to have leadership, and to have an opportunity to serve with those guys, and to accomplish my own level of honorability with leadership, then translated into my other careers. So now that we're in real estate, I don't see it as in, hey, Will, you can make more money as a team lead. Hey, Will, you can make more money attracting agents, having a network. Hey, Will, you can make more money making a course. Hey, we could sell it. It's never been about the course, the accolade, the money. It's been about, I want to be someone people count on. And when I have agents that are crushing, that's cool. When I have those same awesome agents call me at 10 o'clock at night because something's wrong, better. Because it's like, they're relying on me as a human, dude. You're
the guy.
Hey, I'm so glad I got to help you crush and do more business in real estate. But like, where I really get vetted in leadership, which is what all this boils down to, it's those moments. And you know me, I don't celebrate a lot of accolades. You don't find me at a lot of birthday parties or trophy ceremonies for real estate, but you'll find me at midnight talking to a realtor. You'll find me in my office with a realtor crying, going through some shit, and not being a victim, but just going through some shit, and they got to pull themselves back up by the bootstraps and get fucking going. But I find that people will trust in me during their hardest times, and it like makes me proud, right? And then I feel like, hey, like, it's honorable to be that dude, but it takes a lot, because even though we honor, like in the Marine Corps, we'd honor, it was just honorable to see these elite Marines. They weren't pieces of shit. You got there by being the best at what you did. So in real estate, it's like, no, I still got to be the best at what I fucking do. That's the minimum. But then just having the honorable side of real estate to where, or leadership to where people lean on you. That's why I worked the day after my mom died. Because feeling honorable and feeling like I could be relied upon, and I didn't not deal with it. I fucking dealt with it. So don't get weird and ask me if I'm going to kill myself, okay? No. I did deal. But part of me dealing was getting back to feeling honorable and proud of who I was, because I wasn't going to get my mom back, dude. Yeah. So crying about it for 3 weeks is not going to help. If it helps you, then I can't speak to that. For me personally, it's not bringing anything back. What does bring my mom back is when I feel proud about what I'm doing. When I feel like people can rely on me and I feel good about what I'm doing, my mom always comes to mind because I know that she helped build me. Right. So like,
that's cool.
I'm so long winded. It's like a whole other podcast since I mentioned my mom, which is fuck it, it's my mom. But there's a lot of lessons in there of like what you're trying to do and why you're trying to do it in the first place. And it's not, and it's like the poster thing of like, oh man, I want to go special house because it's like the fancy gun and the fucking camel paint. No, that's cool when you're 12. I'm not saying that there's not an appeal to it, but guys that actually go through it, Jocko has a famous saying, you're already a Navy SEAL when you get here. Buds is just to figure out who it is. As in, you already have what it takes in you.
Yep.
Buds just proves it.
Yep.
But something's already in you to want to be that.
Yeah.
And you make it through.
Cool.
And it's cool. Or it's like, so the fancy gun shit, like I'm not saying there's not an appeal to go do badass shit.
Yeah.
But what most people don't talk about is the fear, the lack of food, the fucking cold,
real
the
shit,
fog,
real
and
shit.
then, dude, add all those things up, and then just go, and the repetitive consistency of it all. There is no end. It just never ends. It's like whether you're on deployment or statewide, you're just getting fucked up. You're just doing fucked up shit to stay hard or whatever you want to call it, right? Like, and again, my career mildly interesting to what other guys did, so I got a taste of it. That's it. But I'd like to think that like that guy, whether Marine or police officer or like in real estate now, like I'm still that guy with that in me that wants to be that. And I'm finding ways to like be respected amongst my peers while also being looked up to amongst my peers to actually help people become better and harder and more successful at what they do. But it's from the most non-romantic responsibility, pressure, load carrying, honorable way you could do leadership. And in my opinion, that's the only way to do leadership. Right? And I'll leave it at that.
It's powerful.
Love you, bro.
Love you, man. Day $1
We're out of here.
We're out of here. See you guys.
I'ma slip it on down and turn it up. Southbound and we're trailblazing, yeah, bud. And a posse dirty, filthy like a spit cup.